Greetings, beings! Reverend Jakob here, Crystal Haiku Guy, Father of Tribes from your Tarot by Tribe series, back with your mid-monthly tarot series for the February readings. Happy early birthday to all Pisceans and also remaining Aquarians. The sun's still in your house. Hope all y'all are shining bright. It's going to be a great year. All right. So, if you're new to this channel, you should know this space is designated as an M for mature audiences only space, so please only be watching if you're a legal adult. Sometimes the message and the language can be strong, and if you don't like that, this might not be a channel for you. So do keep that in mind. Also, this is a channel where I try to include everything that gets done, so the front end of the videos ends up being me preparing the space, shuffling 5 different decks that we use to take a view at your life for the next couple of weeks. And sometimes there's a good amount of channel messages that come up, and I've been urged very strongly to recommend those to people that are watching this channel based on the feedback that I receive and how relevant those messages end up being for a number of people. So I do recommend seeing that, and also checking your sun, your moon, and your rising signs. If you don't know what those are, just look for a free birth chart online. You'll need your birth time, and there's a lot of places that can do that. And it'll just give you a different way to look at situations around you. Sometimes, depending on what point in your life you are and just what's most important at any time, one of those readings might resonate over another one. Me personally, when I'm checking out other readers, I look at all 3 for myself because it always gives me another lens to consider things. So highly recommend that to you. And you're going to see that there's 4 videos here in this series. I keep them updated every mid-month because we do these twice a month, this series, at tarotbytribe.com/play. There's going to be 4 videos because we break them down by tribal element. I say tribal because that's how my guides actually speak to me about the signs, as if they were tribes. And so this mid-month, we're actually going to be going air first, water second, earth, and then we're going to finish it up on fire. I do a little rotation based on whose birthday's up and kind of how it went the previous month, so kind of stays in a flow. So if you don't like watching the channeled messages, entirely up to you, just go underneath the video in the description box and click show more, and you'll see that I've actually tabbed them. So there's actually links where you can click. It'll take you to your specific tribe of interest. Hopefully that made sense. I really also want to just thank everybody that supported my work. There have been many of you that have been extremely kind and generous in your feedback, your praise. I've had people sending tips, and I really appreciate all of that, and certainly appreciate everyone who has entrusted me to do a look at your private life. If you would like more information on my services, please just go to artoflove.me and click services up at the top, and you'll see how I do those. I'm actually running a special through the end of the month on my Down and Dirty Personal. That is a lot like the Down and Dirty Dailies that I actually offer on this channel Monday through Friday, except it ends up being about 45 minutes just about you, and in many cases gets really specific. So feel free to hit me up if you would like one of those. The information is underneath these videos in the description box below. You can send an email to prayer@fatheroftribes.com, and I'm also available for prayer requests. So either send that via email or go to artoflove.me, and a drop-down window will come down, and you can just leave your prayer there, and it comes to me, and I'm a guide that will pray for you. So please feel free to hit me up on that if I can be of assistance. Here, we're actually going to do the shuffle. I use a spirit board that I have created myself that's been calibrated to my own essence, and this is what I actually read on. We use 5 different decks, like I mentioned. I'm not the person that's going to tell you what your gender is or what other people's gender is. I'm going to interpret the energies as I experience them or hear from spirit, or in some cases, I'm just reading straight off of cards based on how I will interpret that energy. So we do a challenge style view, first of all, with the Carolyn Mace archetype deck. It gives us light and shadow attributes to have an idea of what the challenges might be for the time period ahead. When we were looking at the physical material realm, I like to use the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck that a lot of people are familiar with. For the mental sector, we use John Holland's Psychic Tarot Oracle deck. And for the personal / romance sector, Doreen Virtue's Romance Angels. And I like to seal them all up with a little practical advice and a prayer with Doreen Virtue's Archangel Michael deck. And so basically that's what you're going to get here from me. I hope you enjoy your reading. I'll catch you on the inside. What's up, Water Tribes? Happy middle of the month to you. Hope the year's going great for everybody. Ton of messages just came up. I'm recording these right now the day after Valentine's, so it's Wednesday the 15th, and we're getting a lot of, there's a lot of love stuff that's coming up, and I'm guessing some of that has to do with, just the fact that yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I know a lot of people come here looking for information about love. So while I was clearing the space, I did get quite a number of messages that popped out, and I'll go over some of them. I'm not going to go into everyone. I've been getting so much information just when I cleared the space. I started seeing a lot of people's private stuff going on in specific. And so I'm just going to give you some of the highlights, and I want to apologize, in advance for any strong messages that might come forward that might not be specific to you. In some cases, sometimes people don't like to hear this stuff, but I was just seeing a lot of mourning and grieving over the loss of someone's soulmate, and like how they've been like trying to connect with them, like in the dimensions, and like calling forward. And it sounds like it might have been like very recent, and I was hearing something about a suicide actually, and something really, they were saying it was a delicate situation that might have had something to do with Gemini and Cancer people, like Cancerian people. I was getting something about pregnancy or somebody missing a period and it turning into like this whole thing because it was like a secret thing. And I'm hearing it was like somebody's marriage was affected because it sounded like at least one of the parties might have been like married. And then I was hearing something about, I don't know if this was, it might be separate. There were a lot of things that came up, but there was something coming up with Pisces and Scorpio, and I was hearing, just some really sad stuff. There's this song called Black by Pearl Jam, and I kept hearing the part where he was saying something about his bitter hands and trying to hold on to the shards of what was everything. And I was just hearing about so many, people struggling right now, basically, over some relationships. And the one that was really getting me, they were actually showing me, and it doesn't always mean that for me, but, this showed up upside down while I was seeing it next to some other images, like the High Priestess and this other vision card. And they were showing me like somebody that had died or crossed over and that was like up in the dimensions, and then like the person like down on earth like trying to like communicate with them, so to speak, looking for assistance or some way to bridge a communication with a deceased person. And so I don't know if anybody here just recently lost somebody like that they're trying to communicate with, but I was hearing that like right now you might actually be able to do that. They were saying that, it was somebody's like really connected soulmate. Like there's all kinds of different soulmates that we can have. They're not all romantic, and just because somebody's your soulmate doesn't mean that you have like all this amazing telepathy and stuff, but some couples do have that, and it's, and it's not just limited to couples. It can just be, people, some people have that kind of soul connection. And I was just hearing about how right now the message, like if you were looking to see if there was a message that was coming from your loved one, the message that was coming through is really strong, and it was a message to really focus on your health right now. And I'm hearing that, like, they're saying he can hear you very well, and that you're not crazy. If you feel like you're having like a communication with him, I was hearing something about him being really clear, just very clear, and it being like almost like you hear each other somehow. And so I think more and more people are actually going to be experiencing things like this. There seem to be quite a number of changes that are happening with regard to how individuals relate to one another in this wobbly soup, that we call life here, that we all share and co-create in. And anyway, I just, I wanted to let you know my condolences here for your loss, and let you know that we're praying for your family and your loved ones. And if anybody wants a personal prayer, feel free to hit me up at prayer@fatheroftribes.com or go to artoflove.me. There's a welcome mat that'll drop down. You can actually leave it right there and it comes to me, and I'd be happy to pray for you. And the other one, there was another one that I did want to talk about because there were quite a number of them. I'm just going to start shuffling right now while I'm telling you, because I kind of jotted some notes down. There were cards that jumped up all over the place, and actually this one reminds me of the Down and Dirty Daily that came up this morning, I think it was. If you don't subscribe to my channel, please do. Monday through Friday, I do sort of an abbreviated, truncated reading Monday through Friday. I said that. That is, it's like a lotto style, so I shuffle with an Italian oracle deck that I use that gives me really clear pictures. I get so many specific stories on them. And I usually pick like one to go with, and it's accompanied by music. And the one that showed up today, I'm remembering there was a message there about some situation where, it might have been like a Valentine's hookup that people were like regretting. I kept hearing something about the walk of shame. And they were showing me like sacral chakra, temptation, let's say, harmony, new beginnings, and basically I was hearing about one person like trying to hook up with another person, and in some cases getting like kicked out, like being like told please go for different reasons. In some cases it was like, please go, I'm not sure I'm ready to like go there with you yet, and if you stay any longer something's gonna happen and I'm not ready. And in other cases it was like, go, I'm really not into you. And in other cases it was just like, I'm hearing like a drunk hookup or like a revenge thing against somebody, and like just wanting to hook up on Valentine's Day. And they were showing me like somebody like needing to know that they might have actually gotten pregnant. And I was hearing something about like a Gemini influence and Cancer influence, a Cancerian influence. And they said it was like really delicate situation that somebody might be finding out or like missing their period like really soon. And then I was hearing something about just being careful because of Scrapio. They were saying Scrapio, like they actually said Scrapio, and it was like a nickname that somebody was calling a Scorpio that I was hearing was kind of like a little bit of a loose cannon. And so that might be a very specific message for like one person, but it did pop out a lot, and they were telling me to definitely mention that here and to be careful, because I was hearing that that person might have like gone a little bit unstable before with somebody else, and I don't know, I was hearing something about a record for possible violence, so, take it if it's yours, and be wise with yourself and others and health matters, especially if somebody might be pregnant, so, there was another message that was coming out too, and this one had some other pop-out cards, like, it was, let's see here, the Three of Cups and the Nine of Wands had actually, like, flown out of the deck and kind of turned themselves around, and I was hearing the song, think it's the Monkees. God only knows what I'd be without you. And I was hearing that it has something to do with, well, they were saying in some cases it has something to do with that third-party situation where it might have been somebody's marriage and a conception is what I was hearing about. I was hearing somebody's definitely going to find out something about a pregnancy by like March. So that might be a lot of people. I'm hearing a lot of people are very fertile and a lot of things have been happening, sometimes quickly. And but the other thing I was hearing was something about people, they were showing somebody being like really nervous about like getting together with somebody, and they were saying that it had a lot to do with like some money issues. Like I was seeing like money changing hands, but it looked like it was like not really going all the way. I was seeing somebody literally like putting money, like if they were putting it in somebody's hand, but it was like they weren't releasing it. It wasn't like there was a fight or anything, but it was like the money just wasn't being dispensed, is how they were showing it to me. Almost kind of like a Pez dispenser, but it was like it wasn't delivering the cash. And so I was hearing something about just like, they were just showing it like somebody being a little bit nervous about a relationship because something hadn't happened and they were feeling like things might not be very balanced for them, and we're just feeling a lot of nervousness. But I was hearing that the song, God Only Knows is what it's called, that it might be, you know, a good one to listen to for some people, because it's actually how the other person feels about the one that is feeling kind of like paranoid, you know, about whether things are equal, is how I'm hearing it. So hopefully those will make sense for somebody. And I'm being told that we're going to go Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. And if you're new to my channel, I actually deal these with backs up, and so I'm ready to read them. That's interesting. Both of my hands just kind of like started burning and itching on the backs. Like all of a sudden, like hearing something about eczema. They're telling me for somebody this was actually about alcohol, though. I'm hearing about somebody that just recently started having like some burning and itching in different parts of their skin, and that it's like dry and it's like eczema and you can't figure out what it is. I'm hearing it's actually liver congestion, and I'm hearing that it has something to do with alcohol. And if you don't know this, sometimes things that are affecting your liver can show up on your skin in different ways. And a lot of times when the liver is very congested, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be that you're drinking a whole lot. There are actually people that have just like unprocessed, sometimes emotions that are basically congesting the liver, can make people very upset and angry. And sometimes if you're drinking and you already have that strain on your liver, it can show up in different ways, as if the same way as somebody that maybe does drink too much, that it would show up for that same reason. It doesn't really matter. It's not like your liver's like discriminating against you or anything. It's just like, if it's congested, this can happen one way or the other. And I'm being told for somebody that if you just like recently started drinking and that this just started showing up and you have like this itchy stuff, they're saying it's like somebody that just recently started socially drinking and can't figure out like why these itches are coming up. It's liver congestion. You really need to look into some herbal support for your liver. You might just want to not drink, if it's not really for you, I mean, take it if it's yours, but, milk thistle and silymarin is always really good for clearing the liver. You might just need to look into doing like a liver detox. And I've been getting a lot of messages for people about looking into herbal health this month, actually the next couple months. I was hearing it a lot for people that are doing things with fertility too, especially if fertility is an issue. It's coming up with the air tribe. So you might be dealing with some air tribe people too. I was getting a really strong, like a Gemini and Cancerian influence together somehow too, and they're saying you might want to talk to an herbalist for something. So I was hearing about jaundice too, and so, herbal support's really good for things, and you might just want to look at it. If you're feeling jaundice or if you're getting these like mysterious itches and you've been drinking, it might have something to do with your liver. All right, so I have finished shuffling everything here, and I'm going to let a little bit of sage, and we're actually going to start on Pisces and then do Scorpio and then Cancer. Hey, what's shaking, Pisces? How you doing? Happy middle of the month to you. Hope it's going great. I'm going to flip your cards. All right. I heard outdoor date, Pisces. Outdoor date. Actually, they just showed me something really hilarious. I'm just going to say the archetype card that you just got for the second half of the month is the same one that Scorpio got beginning of February. So here in some cases you might have some Sag in your chart, or you might be dealing with Sagittarius, but you are, one way or the other. I was hearing about this damsel card. This is what's showing up as your challenge style energy for the second half of the month using the Caroline Mace archetype cards, which kind of give us light and shadow attributes of what you might be tempted to feel like, or how situations might be feeling like they're unfolding around you, or how people are coming at you second half of the month. And I'm hearing something about a really sexy outdoor date and like damsel in distress, like, oh, don't hurt me, that somebody might want to plan with a partner. And that just came up really clear. And they were also saying there might be a Sagittarius or somebody with some Capricorn influence. If not, I'm hearing it might just be like a sexy date, or that might have been a sexy date that somebody had recently. But that I got a really clear image on that. And what's showing up here on the mind is 15 Temptation card in the John Holland Psychic Tarot deck, aka the Devil card, if you were referencing, say, like your Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck, which we used here for your physical material realm, where there's a 7 of Cups. So I'm hearing there's somewhat of a fantasy element here about, damsel in distress with possibly a soulmate for somebody. In other cases, we're hearing a lot about a situation where there might be some options that are on the table right now with some form of partner, whether it's a friend, family member, or maybe something that looks or feels awesome like that. Some kind of soulmate, and there being either some form of bondage, codependency in some situations, or in other cases, just feelings of, am I in control, or power dynamics that could play out in different ways. For some people, it could be really highly charged sexual and kind of fantastic in a fantasy way. And for others, it could be indicative of substance abuse, because there's, definitely some strong cautionary notes here with the devil and addiction, and then, all these cups up here, and somebody being like, whoa, kind of like ditzy or something is kind of how they're showing it to me. And in other cases, I'm just hearing, it's just trying really, really hard to make the right decision with regard to new directions, because one of the things that we're seeing here that I'm noticing is just this person, let's just say that's you, whether you're she, he, they, or other, that could be any individual, looking in the mirror, and I'm hearing they're learning how to see themselves differently, and that this is kind of like that same person throwing away a whack-ass mirror, and they're like, oh, y'all had me looking at myself in the carnival goofy-ass mirror before, and there's a new sheriff in town, and this person is perhaps in more control of their situation with regard to how they're seeing themselves. So that's a clear image there, and I don't know, it kind of looks like, somebody throwing another mirror away and breaking away from some bondage, right? So there's a whole lot of different ways that these could play out for you. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to read the card to you first for the Carolyn Mace's Damsel card. This one says, light attributes. Understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. Shadow attributes state, waiting for a knight to provide for you and seduction by romantic illusion. So, kind of interesting. And again, like I said, this is going to speak very binary in terms of male-female dichotomies and such, but these can really be played out in like any gender, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and open up for you the book, read an expanded view on the Damsel card. Oh, and I forgot to mention, happy birthday to any early Pisceans. I hope it's a wonderful year ahead for you. All right, Pisces. Here's what the book has to say. We've got another keyword to keep in mind. We've got 4 bullet points and a tip. Damsel, princess. First bullet point states, always beautiful, vulnerable, and in need of rescue, specifically by a knight. Second one says, to become empowered, must become empowered and learn to take care of herself. The third one says, princess is associated with romance, not distress. And the last one says, shadow damsel accepts that women are weak and need protection. So they've given us a tip to keep in mind here too, Pisces. Examine your young girl fantasies and expectations for a mate. Were you awaiting the arrival of your knight in shining armor, hoping to be rescued, and disappointed that your expectations weren't met? So you're saying this is the challenge style energy for second half of the month here, and that really it might actually be leaving some people feeling like they're faced with decisions that really draw on the emotions, because I'm hearing a lot of it is just learning what things are worth holding on to. I was hearing that with, I think it was with the Geminis, actually. Something along those lines. I don't know, you might be dealing with a Gemini, but I was hearing something along those lines in the video that I just cut for Air Tribe, so you might want to check that out too. But yeah, I'm hearing that, see this person standing there, the darker figure? Let's just say that's you, Pisces. That person is standing upright. The card did show up right. 7 of Cups. And they're seriously considering all this stuff that's like up in the air. And I mean, it's a very Neptunian card, right? And it's fun because, I mean, you're so Neptunian, right? You're Pisces. And it is possibly your solar return here. So there could be a lot of things that are stirring at your emotions with regard to how you're living your life and the way that you're putting yourself forward, and whether or not you're analyzing it in a way that's really kind to yourself. And I'm hearing in some cases that's actually what the soulmate might be about. It's like perhaps the mirror that showed up that might have felt like some fucking bullshit in some cases, because sometimes that's what the devil is. It's like that karmic relationship that really showed up, and maybe it looked like that at first, but then turned into some shadow stuff here that left somebody feeling like some form of distress. And what I'm hearing is that for a lot of you, it's just like you've got the energy of your sun back in front of your face, giving you a lot of options and energy to do things differently. And we're hearing there's a lot of opportunity here to do some solar plexus healing. Really focus on how you're feeling about your own self as the expression of who you are in your own life, and whether or not you're looking at yourself kindly and fair. Because in some cases, you might not really be, like, even, let's just say you're feeling like this damsel here, and you're not feeling like you've had so much control over situations. I'm hearing a lot of you have actually been doing a great job, just like turning away from whatever was BS in your life, and there's a really strong energy behind that. And that part of the issue that's been going on, if anybody's feeling sort of like, not knowing what to do, because sometimes this can be a little bit like out of reach, and it can be frustrating. It's sometimes these sevens can be a little challenging because it's like stuff that's kind of forcing you to do something, and it's not always happening in the time frame that you expect or want. And so it can feel like a lot at times, and I'm being told that some of you all just need to realize that you're doing really great. The reason why all these options are even here and maybe stressing you out is because of how great you have been doing, and that sometimes we don't even realize old dogmas that we might have been carrying based on stuff that we took for granted because it's just how we were taught to be. That's what we were taught to expect. And, especially around birthday times, a lot of people have a reassess point, and they're like, wow, where is this going? And, am I living my life right? And am I really in control? And I'm hearing a lot of you need to know, yes, you're doing great. And Archangel Michael gave you a really great tip here for second half of the month. So try to spend some time outdoors if you can. I don't know where you're living right now. I'm here in Colorado, and, we were almost 70 degrees the other day, and, and then it was like 40 today. So, you might have some days where you can get outside and do something that's going to get you, some vitamin D and get you moving, get your chi flowing. But I'm hearing some of you just need to do that because it's going to help you feel a little bit better about yourself and like who you are and what you represent and what you're choosing going forward, because it's a new time. It's a new time for a lot of you. It's a new you. Make sure you're looking at yourself right. I'm hearing something about like going out and like, just changing it up a little bit. And sometimes that's what this is for me too. It's like, what are the things that I can be changing to bring me more satisfaction in life. And so, I'm kind of hearing it like that and seeing that in some cases this very well might be you. Not just because it's cups, though. I mean, this could be other people, too. This could be, other people that you're dealing with that have cups in their chart, like Cancerian people or Scorpionic people. But definitely showing up in the physical material realm. I love seeing it upright. And in some cases, like I said, this might just be the time where we're realizing how much control we actually do have over a situation, especially if there has been some sort of addictive personalities that were involved in some way, whether it was you or like indirect. But I'm literally seeing somebody kind of throwing some drinks away here or some kind of substance and just realizing that they're coming out of what might have been a very dark time here. That looks like a dark night of the soul trying to grab at this person, right? And they're just kind of like, no, and turning it away. And so I'm just hearing, focus on your solar plexus right now, okay? That's your third chakra. And yellow foods are great. And I would really focus on things that are also going to ground the lower chakras, such as, going outdoors. And if you don't know a whole lot about, like, balancing your chakras and stuff, spending time outdoors really does do that. And so, and if you're looking for anything deeper than that, I was getting a really good hit on energy healing work for a lot of people. There was a lot of heart healing stuff that was coming up in the channel section, and you might want to go back and look at those. I think they might resonate for some people, but, getting energy work is always a good thing. If you're looking for, Reiki master's level, for some Reiki, there are other practitioners that do that here too in the YouTube community. So, or you might know somebody, but that's going to be really helpful, especially if it's like, turning a new leaf right now, because I'm hearing in a lot of cases that's exactly what this is. This is somebody making up their mind about what it is that they allow and accept to grab so firmly at them in a space where there are so many present options available. So in some cases, it's a really good problem, I'm hearing. And they're saying it might have been precipitated in some form or fashion by a desire for a soulmate, either trying to call one in, because I'm hearing in some cases somebody just being like, I'm tired of bullshit, so tired of bullshit that, I'm tired of feeling like they've just been like left at the curb by exes and stuff when they really want somebody good, and they're literally spending time visualizing. I'm seeing this as like somebody like visualizing, actively calling in a partner. It might be a better match than that, and that this is a really good month for that. So especially if you have things to consider, spending more time outdoors is always really good too. So let's open up the John Holland Psychic Tarot Oracle deck, Pisces, and I'm going to read to you about this 15 temptation card, aka the devil. Because they're saying it could also have something to do with somebody that's got heavy Capricorn influence in their constitution. So, the book says, through this card, addictions and self-limiting behaviors are being addressed. This is a time when you or someone else in your life may be placing too much emphasis on the material, physical world and its pleasures. Even though we're all born connected to the divine source, we have a tendency to pull away from what was once natural. When we become disconnected from spirit, the source that once nourished us, it's often replaced with a different supply or substitute. In other words, the connection is then forged with food, alcohol, nicotine, codependency to someone, or even work. Hence the term workaholic. Many of us spend our lives trying to fill the void that was created when the link to the divine was broken. The temptation card is calling you to take a hard look at life and ask yourself, where in my life am I suffering from addictive behavior? Is there negative thinking or behavior that's causing the life force to seep out of my soul? Are the people in relationships in my life giving me energy, or are they draining it? Learn to embrace your fears, and all of your doubts so that every situation in your life becomes a learning experience. Gaining the knowledge that the physical world teaches will help you transcend to a higher spiritual awareness. Traditional tarot archetype, the devil. So that's really what I was hearing. It's just like seeing all the things in some cases that have helped you sort of transcend limiting situations. Very good time for that. And allowing the best ones that hit you in a positive ego way, be the ones that you feel empowered about and make those the focal point, especially when you're viewing yourself and trying to take a lens on who you are now, Pisces. Getting a really good hit on that. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the Carolyn May. Oops, nope, that one. The Doreen Virtue's Romance Angels Oracle Cards book. And we're going to read about this soulmate character, because in some cases, what I'm hearing, this is all about connecting with a loved one, and this can show up in different ways. Sometimes this is really weird dynamics, when it's, the devil and a damsel. In other cases, it might just be, I'm hearing really charged sexual play that might have very fantastic fantasy element to it, is what I'm hearing. And I was hearing about an outdoor date that might be really fun for somebody. And they were doing like the railroad track thing, and help me. But let me just say, if you are doing it on railroad, make sure it's like an inactive one or something. Because, just be wise. All right, so I'm going to open up the book here, read about the soulmate. Here's what it says. Yes, this is your soulmate, Pisces. You chose this card because you wonder if a certain person is your soulmate, and the answer is yes. As we all do, you have many soulmates, beings with whom you share a mystical soul connection and life path. Soulmates incarnate with a plan of coming together for mutual spiritual and personal growth. As you suspected, the person you're inquiring about is one of yours. That sense of familiarity and comfort you felt when you first met also indicates your soulmate bond. This card sometimes comes to those who ask, when will I meet my soulmate? Or will I ever meet my soulmate? As validation that this will occur. Many times, this is a person whom you already know. Although romantic sparks didn't fly at first, you have another opportunity to explore passion together, if you want. And I'm just hearing in some cases, there's a lot of options here, is what they're saying, Pisces. And so I'm hearing, some of you might just be getting a really good gut check about what feels good and what doesn't. Because I'm being told that a lot of things might be triggered right now about, addictions. They were saying something about dual addictions, and I'm hearing something about just like how easy it is for people to dumb down the pain of others when they don't understand how sensitive some people are, especially when they might have had others, such as like parental figures or whoever the overseers were, that kind of first demonstrated this power dynamic and trained some people how to view themselves as powerless for different reasons, and how it's in some cases created like pathologies in an artificial way that's really head-fucky, to be honest with you. People can do a lot of damage, especially on impressionable people, younger people, people with very sensitive systems and emotions, by niggling at them like that. And a lot of times, like, and we're seeing something beautiful here, soulmates can also be some karma that feels like shit, and a lot of times that's family members are the soulmates that, we can have that with. It can be, people that you rely on in different ways that give you that like powerless feeling that can really be played upon, this whole damsel thing. And so sometimes it's like when you're calling in, let's say, a romantic relationship or experiencing it, especially if you have like multiple options, you might get a sense of what's being stirred up inside. And sometimes it's going to feel really familiar. And you might experience some, chemistry over it. Karma is like that, where, you're drawn to the familiar. Okay, even if it's not what you want, the result that, always happens, just because of how it was trained, that response. And I'm hearing that some of y'all might just really want to take some time grounding right now, grounding your root chakra, grounding all of your energy so that you feel really supported and safe. Because especially if you're making emotional decisions or like picking a partner, some are going to help you feel really good, and others are going to feel like a fucking carnival mirror of like craziness, or those things that just made you feel like you were stuck. And so, it's a really good time to check in with that. And also, I'm being told, be selective about who you're listening to, because some of this is some bullshit that's up in the air possibly. And in some cases, it's just learning which ones to even even pay attention to, because sometimes people try to just like force their way in there because they need something to control in their life. And a lot of times, especially if it's somebody that's got like narcissistic abuse patterns or something like that, you got some kind of psychopath in your life, they might really be playing on you in some really weird way. And I'm hearing that it might just be the time to pick a different direction, and that's probably why this is on the mind here with regard to somebody's soulmate. So one way or the other, here it's a great time to just take care of yourself in the ways that ground you, especially if you can't go outdoors. But if you can, Pisces, it'd be a great time to do it. So I'm going to leave you on that practical advice and tip from Archangel Michael to spend more time outdoors. And we're going to seal it up here. Right. Thank you for motivating me to spend more time outdoors and helping me relax and enjoy connecting with nature. Archangel Michael. Amen. All right, Pisces. That's what we got. I hope you liked it. I hope it made sense. And I hope it's going to be a great year. Feeling like you guys actually have a lot of power here to do things. And, it's really about how you are allowing yourself to see it. So I hope you'll take the best advice from that, especially if things are challenging. Hit a brother up, prayer@fatheroftribes.com if you would like me to take a personal look into your situation or do a prayer for you. I'd love to do it. Take care, God bless. I'm going to clear up here, let a little more sage, and we're going to jump into Scorpio. What's up, Scorpio? How you doing? Happy middle of the month to you. Hope it's going great. Gonna flip your cards. While I was lighting your sage here, I heard it again. I'm going to check the channel messages. There were a lot of messages coming up, but I was hearing somebody saying Scrappio. Like they were calling somebody a funny name, and I was just seeing it kind of like, again, I kind of saw somebody doing it. It was the Nutty Professor, where they're sitting at the dinner table and Eddie Murphy is playing like all the different roles, and the mom's cheering on the little boy, and she's like, Hercules, Hercules, and I was just seeing somebody doing it, but it was like, Scrappy-o, Scrappy-o. It's pretty funny. I don't know, maybe that's somebody's nickname. Flipping your cards now. Alright, so I heard, this is interesting. There's a lot of messages coming up here. Just going to start with the overall archetypal energy. Using the Carolyn Mays archetype cards for your challenge style energy here, Scorpio. Saboteur showing up. I'm going to read that straight off the card to you. We've got light and shadow attributes, which are sometimes how you might be tempted to feel, how you might be feeling, how situations might feel around you, or how people might kind of be coming at you. And there's definitely a word to the wise on this one. Light attributes highlights your fear of self-empowerment and the changes it would bring to your life. Shadow attributes state induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. And I'm hearing it might be a really good time to just take a break. And that might be on your mind. 4 Russian Rejuvenate showed up. And I was hearing about somebody finding out about somebody sabotaging a relationship and getting someone pregnant. I keep seeing it out of somebody else's relationship. It was like somebody was in a relationship and the other person either was too or wasn't, but like broke in somehow. And I'm hearing somebody might find out somebody's pregnant. And there's a lot of fire influence around this here. I heard Aries. I'd heard something about an angry Aries or Sagittarius too when I was reading for the air tribes. You might just want to check those out in the channel section. But seeing Sagittarius, I'm seeing this Page of Wands next to each other, and another 4 here, which is sometimes the 4th month, April. I'm hearing something about an Aries that sabotaged a relationship, possibly, and got somebody pregnant or became pregnant. No, it might be a very specific message for somebody. But the Page of Wands shows up here in the physical material realm. A lot of times this can be like a child. This can be somebody's child. And I was kind of like seeing... I was seeing somebody getting pregnant is what I'm seeing with this. And that there was something... They're telling me it was a grudge. I'm hearing it was a grudge. And that somebody wanted to burst somebody's bubble, and that they might be getting caught. And it's funny, like if you look here very closely, I don't know if you can see it, but that person is actually holding a pin up, something like a knife. I was hearing something about staying away from sharp objects and being careful with sharp objects. I think for the air tribes, they're showing me somebody with scissors and somebody doing something with scissors. And a child and being careful, and I'm just being told to remember sometimes just be careful, especially if there's a cutter. And I'm hearing in some cases, that's what this is all about, because this is 4 swords, and that somebody might have been really upset about finding out either about somebody's relationship or about a pregnancy. And there's a lot of cautionary notes around the saboteur here. In other cases, I'm really hearing that this is about somebody needing to take a break. And they're just saying you need to turn away from whatever this sabotage situation is. Because I'm hearing for some people, it might not actually be sabotaging people, but it might be self-sabotage, because they're saying something about just childish behavior or slightly reckless. It wasn't really bad, because I would have thought it was more bad if the Page of Wands showed up upside down. But they're showing me somebody being kind of haphazard and how they're doing things. And they're reminding me of how I was seeing it with the air tribes. It was like children running around with, not swords, but scissors. And they were telling me to remind whoever it is that might be with the children, if that's the case, that, you grab them with the pointy part down and not to be running with it. Because I was literally seeing somebody getting injured in some way. And they're saying it might have to do with somebody that self-sabotages, that has cutting tendencies, that might be on the front of this. And I was hearing in some cases that this might be somebody that got either called in or has been taking some time off because somebody who was a cutter or was suicidal might have. And this retreat card just showed me that, and I was seeing a coffin and somebody being buried in the ground near some trees. And so I don't like giving any negative messages, and I'm not trying to make any negative messages here for anybody. I'm just saying that if anybody is feeling desperate, though, just saying now's a really good time to get some help and take time making a decision, especially if anybody is feeling like their relationship was intentionally sabotaged by somebody, or found out about, some kind of pregnancy or a relationship happening, a hookup that they weren't really prepared to hear about, is what I'm hearing about in some cases. I'm hearing in other cases it's just a really damn good time to take a rest and relaxation, and that might be why this is on the mind. And for others, it's literally just saying now is a good time to GTFO for somebody. I'm hearing it's just a good time to go on a vacation, get away with your loved one, especially if you've had, some haters. I'm hearing in some cases they're saying something to me about an ex that returned and a relationship that had fallen apart, like another marriage, but that the two that were together before that marriage might have conceived somehow. And I'm hearing that, sometimes you just are not in an easy situation, especially if there are people that just don't like it or that are talking shit, when you're actually just trying to, take some time with somebody that you love. And, it might be time to take your time away from others is kind of what I'm hearing. And what the useless drama was, there were a lot of messages coming up about, I was hearing about gossip and slander, and there were just overall reckless communications that were coming up with some of the air tribes, and some cautionary notes about just knowing when to let go of things. And I'm hearing for some people that that's really what this is all about right now, because sometimes that's what this is showing me, when we've got sabotage and retreat here side by side. It's just kind of knowing when to cut your losses. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the Carolyn Mace Archetype Deck book here. I'm going to read a little bit about the saboteur, get a little bit of an expanded view on how that might demonstrate itself here, Scorpio. First bullet point states, exposes fears and issues related to low self-esteem that cause you to make choices that block your own empowerment and success. Second one says, when you make it an ally, you will find that it calls your attention to situations in which you're in danger of being sabotaged or of sabotaging yourself. And the last one says, shadow saboteur manifests as self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. And then the thing to keep in mind, too, is that there's no judgment, first of all, on this channel. So nobody's getting judged here. And this book and this deck have just a whole lot of archetypes, and some of them we all embody. And saboteur is one that we have all been, and that is, a phase that, we might all have a tendency to go to or through, depending on how we're being triggered. And I'm hearing it's just a really good time to focus on the things that are going to bring you into a more creative space, because, if it's not some of those other messages that I said that were probably very specific for just a few people, because they were so specific. When this card shows up anywhere, but we're using it for the physical material realm, this is an energy present that is very energetic and passionate, and a lot of times just super creative. And it's something that's fertile. It's something that will grow. It has a lot of room for growth, and it's a great time for new starts. And I'm just hearing in some cases, this is just a good time to make sure you're not getting into your own head in any sort of negative way where you're literally taking the wind out of your own sails. And so, take your time making any decisions that might be happening right now, Scorpio. I'm hearing for some people, this is all just about trying to make a new start with somebody that maybe you want to spend more time getting to know. And I'm hearing for some people, it's just like they're freaked out is how I'm hearing it. I'm hearing that it's just somebody that's like totally freaked out about taking a new direction because, I'm hearing about somebody that passed away is what I'm hearing about, and that being on the mind. And I'm hearing about, in some cases it was just like an old relationship, something that had passed its time maybe if the person didn't pass away. And I'm hearing it might have been like 4 years ago. And that this is like a torch that somebody's literally been holding. They're showing me this is like the person holding the torch and just like looking to it and having been stunted, like their growth being stunted in that place because they just haven't been able to get past it because it's been so emotionally draining. And I'm hearing in some cases that this is just like a really good time to let yourself have that. Surround yourself in beautiful things. Take some time to be outdoors if you can. Scorpio, ground yourself if that's the case, because it sounds like some of you might actually have some really great energy here, and they're showing me with somebody that you might want to take it to another level with, is what I'm hearing about, and that the biggest risk here is like just not doing anything and feeling too stuck and like sort of self-sabotaging, and just like not doing anything with the creative energy that's present because of some fears is what I'm hearing about. And so in some cases, I'm just hearing, that's the case, get yourself feeling good. Maybe this can be you. It showed up right. The Angel of Wands is a snappy freaking dresser. Look at that. That's a snappy dresser. That's someone who's got a little pep in their step. That's somebody that, when they go where they're going, people enjoy their company. This is a very lovely, buoyant sort of energy that you can work with right now. And I'm hearing for some people that might be very healing. In other cases, this could be like just the start of something new. I'm hearing in some cases it has something to do with a fire person, somebody that might have strong fire elements in their constitution, Aries, Leo, Sag, somewhere strong. And that this person might have stirred up some things that, have someone needing to take a pause on it for a minute and decide what they want to do. But it feels like it's really good here. And so I'm hearing, it might just be a really good time even for like spa treatments. So like even if you can't get outside and do things like this, they're kind of talking to me about a spa treatment and going and doing that. And, maybe that's what this retreat is that's showing up here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open up the Psychic Tarot Oracle deck book here, Scorpio. Read you what the Rest and Rejuvenate is about, because it's a very mental energy to also be showing up in your mental sector, because this is AKA your Four of Swords, which is a lot of times, it's a person like laying in like a sarcophagus on their back. They're just like meditating, sleeping. Some cases I'm hearing, some people say, it could be somebody dead or going for surgery sometimes. And I'm just hearing if that's you, if you're, going for like, something cosmetic is what I'm hearing. It might be a really good time to do that. But not to make any rush decisions, This person can be a little hasty sometimes is the thing. They're saying take your time making the decision. I'm hearing, too, just make sure you're not, like, trying to cut out something just because you're feeling, like, really insecure about, your past or whatever, Scorpio, because, we're all beautiful and we're all different, and your beauty is just, it comes from your inside, too. And so in some cases, it's all about, like, how you're allowing yourself to even witness for yourself. And I'm just hearing, like, don't turn your back on yourself here, when this could be you, and this person's kind of like turning their back and like bursting their own bubble. And so, I don't know, you'll know if that resonates or not. But we're hearing a lot about taking our time. And here's what the book says about resting and rejuvenation. This card implies that a period of rest, meditation, rejuvenation, and recuperation is in order. It usually comes forward when you're encountering or coming out of a particularly emotional or mentally taxing experience. The number 4 in numerology means foundation, so this is a time to heal, to be with your soul, and to continue moving steadily forward. Allowing space just for your reflection is both needed and long overdue. Reposing and taking moments for yourself will give you the opportunity to look at a problem or situation instead of being in it. It's a chance to stand back, view your life with clarity and renewed appreciation, and see where changes can be made to create a healthier and stronger foundation, enabling you to take the next step. And for some of y'all, I'm hearing, if you're looking for partnership or to meet somebody, I'm hearing this might actually be a good way to do it, because they're saying you might actually meet somebody, and I was hearing it might not take off right away, and just to make sure that you kind of take your time filling it out, but I'm hearing something about it being somebody that, within a couple months' time, because this is the month of 4/2, April on the mind, that this new relationship or person that perhaps comes in might be a fresh start, and that it might be a little bit of like a gradual process. But I'm hearing, it's within a couple months' time too, you might find that it's somebody that you really want to get close to, and they're saying just take your time with it. You don't have to rush into anything, and they're just saying certainly don't rush into feeling like you need to share anything more than you want to too quickly, and that you can kind of keep it light and keep it innocent and playful is what I'm hearing. We're seeing a lot of children here too, and there's a lot of cautions here that, somebody could get pregnant too. So if this wasn't something that you heard about somewhere else, that somebody finding out about a pregnancy that, you've got 2 little childish energies here showing up with some passion and something that sometimes looks like a person in a bed and a couple on retreat. So, take your cautions if you need it. And let's see what the book says on the retreat card here. Dream, Virtues, Romance, Angels, Sparkle card, Scorpio. Okay. This card says it's time to disconnect from the world. The romance angels see that your love life blossoms as you spend time alone with your partner or by yourself. It appears that you've become confused or conflicted by other people's advice. It's time for you to disconnect so that you can better hear your own feelings and opinions. If you are in a partnership, spending time together apart from others will renew your commitment and take it to the next level. This could mean taking a vacation, going on a nature hike, enjoying a long drive, or turning off the phones and computer as you both enjoy a quiet afternoon at home. The painting on this card also indicates a honeymoon, which could be the literal message. So there may be a deepening of your commitment or a new serious relationship if you're currently single. This may indicate an upcoming engagement, wedding, or renewal of vows. These activities are more meaningful as you spend time alone with your partner. If you're presently single, this card guides you to spend time by yourself, meditating upon your true feelings and thoughts. Be sure to take action based on any intuitive guidance. This strengthens your energy, which helps you rapidly attract and manifest your loving partner. In some cases, I'm hearing this is all just about learning how to relax too after finding out. And this doesn't have to be you, Scorpio. I'm hearing in some cases this might be you finding out about somebody that is having a difficult time, especially if you've just recently gotten into some kind of a relationship and people just not being cool with it. And I'm hearing about somebody just being really super depressed, and they're talking to me about a cutter and about how somebody might say something really just unfair, about why they were doing it. And it's because that person is actually a self-sabotager and might also be just like inflicting himself on others and looking to take a strike. I was hearing something about a grudge and just needing to be cautious and, anything that seems like it's taking away from your radiance or your will to thrive and live in life or another's is something to really be looked at right now because, there are definitely some cautions with this, and especially if it's coming from yourself, Scorpio, and just not letting yourself shine brightly because here, this is somebody that is flying high, and this is a very creative, fertile, passionate sort of energy. This is a great time to relax and find clarity and maybe go do something amazing for yourself with or without somebody else. And they're just saying, make sure that you're allowing yourself to be that bright because that's what this person's showing up like. This person seems like they have a lot of clarity. You might not be able to see the image as well as I can, but looks like they have like a light cross here on their throat, like on their throat chakra, like they're able to speak loving truths with clarity. We've got big angel wings here. This person's showing up very angelic, like they're in control of their life, their destiny, and what it is that they're seeing. And so just make sure that you're giving yourself credit for all the things that you do well, because that's where you're finding your self-empowerment, and that's where the changes that maybe you really want to have happen are all going to be able to take their root, because that's a lot of what the Page of Wands energy wants to give you too, especially when it shows up right like that. So might be a great time to consider things or, creative projects. And I'm just hearing, don't be in your mind too much. Sometimes, maybe try to get into your body too, especially if you're doing a lot of thinking and considering and, grounding yourself in any way, even if you can't do it out in nature. Grounding yourself is going to be really good. So you might want to look into different grounding techniques that you can do. I would always recommend, chakra balancing and meditations personally, and I'm going to leave you on the personal practical advice from Archangel Michael to take your time making any decisions. We're going to seal it up on that prayer for you right now here, Scorpio. Dear Archangel Michael, please help me stay strong and relaxed as I approach this situation. Remind me to detach and take a step back, allowing the situation to naturally unfold. Thank you for protecting me. Amen. And I'm just going to recommend, too, if anybody needs some time away to get some clarity, I was hearing something about mental health. Just know we're all praying here on our end for anybody that's got a weary heart or emotions here. And if you want a personal prayer, you can always hit me up, prayer@fatheroftribes.com, or go to artoflove.me and click, there's a welcome mat that will come down where you can actually just type a prayer. It comes to me, and I'm happy to pray for you. And just remember, you are absolutely worth every effort, and the things that are going to help you feel like you're thriving and doing, what you can to help yourself, whether you're in a good state or a bad state, is always worth the effort. And we're praying for you. And if you'd like a personal look into your stitch, I'm running a special through the end of the month on my Down and Dirty Personal. So hit me up if I can do that for you. If not, catch you again in a couple of weeks, Scorpio. Gonna light one more piece of sage, hit some of this tea, and we're gonna seal it all up on Cancer. What's going on, Cancer? How you doing? Happy middle of the month to you. Hope it's going great. Good flip your cards. All right, Cancer. Fun energy. First, want to go ahead and just jump ahead to what I usually seal these up on. Karen, somebody needs to know. Children are being watched over by angels. And I was hearing about somebody missing their pet. They're saying something about their pet. And they're saying something about a pet. Or being worried about a pet. And a surgery. And they want me to jump here. This card here. This is hope. Right there. This is 17. This is the star card. If you're referencing like a more traditional deck. And I'm hearing that, if it's something about a surgery, they're saying it's probably going to go pretty well. I'm getting a good feeling on it. And so, I'm just hearing, you might have more than one decision with regard to somebody's surgery. It doesn't have to just be a pet. I was seeing somebody's pet, though, very clearly, too. But if this has something to do with a surgery, I'm hearing that you might have to make a decision here. But they were saying something about knowing which one you wanted to choose, and I'm hearing that for somebody that's what this worth waiting for card is about, and it's about not rushing because of somebody's schedule. So I don't know, that might be very specific for somebody, but that came up very strong for some Cancer somewhere, and they're reminding me again too about being careful with the metal objects. I'm seeing this pointing up, and they were showing me scissors before, and they were showing me somebody like getting hurt with something sharp, with some of the air tribes before. So I don't know if you might be dealing with somebody there, but I was hearing, especially if there is any dealing with children, because something about children here too, and seeing a sword there, and it's like pointing down, and then here I'm seeing the sword pointing up and like somebody's crown, and I was hearing something about being really careful, especially if you're doing like crafts with kids and they might be rowdy, to literally show them that you put the the pointy side down in your hand when you are walking, and to walk, carefully. And they were telling me that might be important because I was seeing people like moving around a lot. And your challenge shell energy for the second part of the month here, the Don Juan, it's got a dancing couple here, and I was just hearing somebody just needs to be careful with the sharp things that they might have on their person. And they keep bringing it up. So I heard it in the air tribes. I'm hearing it again a few times here in water tribes. So just, take it if it's yours, and please be cautious. This card, this archetype deck, I use for the challenge style energy for the time period. And a lot of times it's how people might be tempted to act or feel in their own world, or how situations might be unfolding around them, or how others might be sort of coming at them. So I'm going to read to you the light and shadow attributes here, Cancer. Light attribute state spotlights your positive, seductive qualities. Shadow attribute state using the power of romantic attraction for private agendas. I'm hearing for somebody, this was a lot about something that took a long time. They're telling me about somebody's career, about how they got picked. And I'm sorry, hang on one second, my cat's doing something crazy. Sorry about that. It was getting a little acrobatic in here. I had to mediate. But, so I was saying, I'm hearing this has something to do with somebody that got picked, and they're saying there were a lot of candidates. I'm hearing that there might have been like 8 other candidates, and they're talking to me a little bit about how somebody got picked. And I'm hearing for somebody, they need to really try to be patient, and they're saying use judicious behavior, because I'm hearing somebody worked really hard, and that they're telling me something about gossip. I was hearing it. they were telling me something about Geminis and Cancerians. I don't know what's going on there, but for somebody this might ring. But they were saying that somebody might be like suggesting that somebody got a promotion for reasons that are like they're trying to neg you, you know, or neg somebody. Like somebody is being minimized in some way. And the way they were showing it to me is like somebody was saying that, you know, oh, you know, they only got the promotion because they slept with so-and-so or because of some kind of like dealing like that. And so I'm hearing for somebody right now, you know, that's maybe what this Don Juan is all about. And that, you know, this Ace of Swords showing up right is kind of telling you, hey, be careful of the things that you say and who you say them to, because the sword can cut both ways. You might have some kind of shadow character like talking, and they're saying you might want to be cautious about how and when you're opening up your information and just staying hopeful about what you know that you've called in, the things that you're doing and why you were recognized, because you're actually the one that's being watched over by angels. Like in some cases, that might be like your higher self, like protecting you, you know. In other cases, it might just be about being judicious because you find out that something is happening with, you know, people that maybe you look at as your own children or that you have that kind of vibe with. And so, you know, they just keep saying the word judicious to me, though. And I think that somebody's going to be, because this card showed up right in the physical material realm. And the Ace of Swords is a card of truth. It's a, like, you know, cutting through the BS, if you will. You know, this is like the sword coming in. It's like a gift from the heavens. And it's like, hey, here you go. And it's, boom, you know, there's a crown for your head sometimes. And so I'm here for somebody that's literally, they've taken a position because of how they did things and how they've been flying straight. And just that the only caution is that that sword can cut both ways too. So just know that sometimes people aren't always your friend, is what I'm being told. And keep that in mind. Let that be like, you know, something that you keep in your mind. You know, there's hope to be had here. And they're showing a lot of light coming through the hands here. And I'm saying, they're saying just kind of surround yourself. You might want to do like meditation where you protect your energy and you protect your chi and just call like a bubble of protection around yourself that, you know, helps you guard how you view yourself, especially if people are talking nonsense. Because I'm hearing there was definitely something coming up, and they were showing me somebody needing to cut cords, and in the air tribes, you might really just want to check the channeled section, because I don't remember all the messages in specific. They came up so fast, but that might be what the sword is here for some of y'all. And in other cases, this is the person that is showing up that you're dealing with, or people that might have strong air element. So there might be air tribesmen, people that have, you know, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini in their charts. In which case, you definitely want to check out those other messages and the other video. So the challenge energy comes out of this Carolyn Mace deck. Wow. It opened right up to that page. Whenever that happens, I feel like it's a pretty emphatic point that somebody needs to hear it. So I'm going to read these to you. We've got 4 other keywords to keep in mind here. Cancer, plus 3 bullet points in the tip. Don Juan, Casanova, Gigolo, Seducer, Sex Addict. First bullet point says, can make us aware of falling into sex role cliche or misusing the power of romantic attraction. Second one says, an underlying vulnerability and the power to open a heart capable of deep love can counter its negative aspects. And the last one says, Shadow Don Juan represents a man preying on women for the sake of conquest alone. This can work both ways. Please swap genders appropriately as it pertains to your situation. The tip is to look for a pattern of sexual behavior in which the end justifies the means. In some cases, I'm hearing this is really just about, they're saying getting it on with somebody. I'm hearing that, you know, some truth is revealed. I'm hearing somebody wants to put a ring on it. You know, there might be some, they're saying dirty dancing. I'm hearing, you know, dirty dancing. And There might be an Aquarius involvement too, because this 17, the Hope card, is often shown as an Aquarius card. It's the star, if you're referencing this deck, which is also air elements. There's a really strong Aquarius vibe on this, and we're hearing that some things are just worth waiting for, and so this a lot of times is about divine timing and about things that are being protected is what I'm hearing, because sometimes that's just what this shows up as too. Not everybody has children, not everybody has pets, not everybody has people in their life that are younger that they look at as, you know, kind of motherly or fatherly towards. So in some cases, this is just really about knowing that there's protection in place for us. Like I was saying before, I've seen this sometimes being like, you know, our own divine higher self looking upon ourselves as like the young one that needed care, that maybe didn't always come together in the way that that person would have preferred when they were growing up. And so it's like how we learn to take care of ourselves. And in some cases, I'm hearing about somebody actually, they were saying it, finding out about a pregnancy and needing to have hope about it. And I'm seeing that there might be a lot of hope here. I'm seeing some miracles, and they were talking about something like this in the channel section of the Air Tribe, so you might want to watch that because it was about a miracle. But if that's the case, look, divine timing that's a thing. You know, it's a thing. It's a lot of angels at work to help things come together that sometimes are put right into our hands by the divine. And you see there's like a little person inside of that sun that's coming down, and then here's like a hand coming from the clouds with like something the same color on it. I'm hearing in some cases either the relationship or the job that you want to call in. In other cases, it's all about somebody getting pregnant, or they're talking about consummating a certain way. And so I'm hearing it might be a sexy time for somebody too, because that's on long. That can be something to really get swept up in, you know? People are snappy dancers. They're dancing. They look like they're having a good time, and there's a heart right between them. So it can play out different ways depending on who you are. I'm going to go ahead and just open up the John Holland Psychic Tarot Oracle deck. Bull, Cancer. I'm going to read about this. Hope card showed up on your brain. Wow. That one just opened right up to that page too. So I'm hearing this is going to be ding, ding, ding for some of y'all. This is a major arcana card, so this could be something major going on, or, you know, an Aquarius person could be a major central focus on your mind at this time. It's possible that it's also in your chart, or that this is just like what you are wanting to reach for. So I'm going to read to you what it says here in the book, because anytime we get these majors, it's like the kind of energy that comes forward that changes how we do things. And so if it's on your mind, there's going to be some really good clues in here to help you work with that energy. Here's what it says, Cancer. This is a card that focuses on the qualities of hope, faith, healing, aspirations, success, and finally, enlightenment. When this card appears, know that a special wish you've made may be fulfilled in time. The Hope card will help show you that the impossible can indeed become the possible. The force that works through your soul, determining what's possible, and the difference between success over failure, and above all, who we are, is the power of your belief. This card serves as a reminder to use your natural ability of intuition, the language of the soul, as you reach for your goals and desires. The future can be yours when you have hope and trust in everything you do. Soon others will be attracted and drawn to your inner light. Learn to share your experiences and lessons for those around you will also realize that by having faith and pushing forward, where one may have felt no hope at all, is the key to success. Above all, maintaining a positive attitude starting right now, this very minute, will allow your soul to soar. You'll discover an opportunity to shine as you reach for the stars. Traditional tarot archetype, the star. Some cases I'm hearing this might be about getting some help from an Aquarius too. They keep showing me Aquarius, and I'm just seeing also just like a lot of healing. It might be a good time for some like healing. I'm seeing like somebody getting like energy healing, but sometimes it's also a good time to ask for help. And I'm being told in some cases, sometimes people have been waiting for things that haven't quite manifested the way they were expecting or wanting when a card like this one shows up. And so sometimes when this shows up, this is like needing to have a conversation or to put a truth out there. And I'm being told that, the way you do it is really what's going to be helpful. And they're saying in some cases, it's kind of like your sales pitch, and if you're going for another job, they're saying just make sure you're standing in your own light here. Because this could very well be you here too, standing in your own light and how you're presenting yourself forward. And they're definitely giving some cautions too for anybody that feels like, somebody might be coming at them with the shadow, like bullshit about how they have their private agendas, or might be like kind of trying to use their romantic intentions on you or toward you or expectations. You don't have to do that. And, it's okay for you to stand firm. And I'm hearing for something else, you might need to. And this could be somebody taking a posture and just being, very forthright about it. And the other part of it that I'm just hearing too is just make sure you're not getting in your own head. Because, this deck here, these are all upright meanings because they're all full spectrum energies. And so they can play out at any aspect of hope. Sometimes hope is like, wah, 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 when people lose hope over things. And so they're just saying, make sure, if this is you here, that you are not telling yourself anything that's going to like come back on you in like a negative way, because the sword can cut both ways, especially if you've been waiting for something for a while. You don't want to like get in your head that you're not good or start feeling like, just like you're not spotlighting your positive qualities. And so divine timing can bring that forward to us sometimes, and people don't like to hear it sometimes, but this can actually be a little bit frustrating because it's like, it's encouraging us that something's worth waiting for. And so, it's just good to know if you are feeling frustrated about how something's coming together, that there's like protection over it. There's something that's like guarding it, and there's definitely like a lot of light coming from big hands and presenting itself forward, and things coming from the sky. So it seems like the energy is really ripe to be worked with here, Cancer, and I'm going to encourage you to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and open up to you the Romance Angels Oracle Cards book about Worth Waiting For, because in some case they're saying conjugal visit to me for somebody, and that could be a lot of different reasons. I'm hearing, somebody might be incarcerated. They're showing you like a lock and a key here. I'm hearing locked up or locked down. And in other cases, I'm just seeing that it's like something that hasn't happened because, it just hasn't. I'm just hearing it hasn't really materialized yet, and that it's important to know that those things that we're calling in, sometimes even if they haven't shown up in our hands yet, it doesn't mean that they're not gonna, because we're actually seeing it like being delivered, We're kind of seeing like something like wanting to come forward. So you might just really want to take your time and know that the things that are really worth holding on to are going to be worth waiting for too. So here's what the book says about it, Cancer. Worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life. Your soulmate relationship requires patience, as there are many factors involved. Your soulmate's free will choices are beyond your or the angel's control, as is the readiness of both you for true love. This card comes to you as a reminder that this relationship is worth waiting for. Divine timing is a universal law that is always in operation. It is the flow of everything. If we try to impose our human will and force things to happen, we become out of sync with nature and experience blockages. Similarly, if we fret, when will I meet my soulmate? We put worry energy out into the universe. The romance angels have heard and answered your prayers for a soulmate, and they are working behind the scenes to bring this to you. Your role is to listen and follow your intuition, even if it seems unrelated to your desire. Your intuition is like a guide dog leading you along the path of answered prayers. Follow your intuition and trust in the timing of the relationship. And in some cases I'm hearing, it's like, if it's not like a romance thing, because for some people it isn't, you might actually be in a romantic relationship. I was hearing about somebody that got locked up though and needing a conjugal visit and just like keeping hope, and they were saying something about August. And so, I don't know, maybe that's what the 8 is for. So it's July, August. Yeah, but in other cases, it's about like it's about work and career, and I'm hearing for some of y'all, it's just like knowing that you're in a good posture right now. It's great energy for new starts and fresh beginnings, and to keep your hope up and your high energy because you're being protected. It hasn't happened yet. I'm hearing it's gonna, and I'm hearing it's just a really good time to make sure you're standing straight, especially if you're gunning for a position. Make sure that you're, only putting the parts of yourself that feel like the best parts, and kind of keep that on your mind. Maybe that's why the star is showing up as, mental sector here. But I'm going to go ahead and seal this one up on the prayer and the practical advice from Archangel Michael and this card and the tip that says that your children are watched over by angels here, Cancer. So here we go. Dear guardian angels and my children, both born and unborn, thank you for watching over my children and ensuring their happiness and safety. Please guide me so that I know the best ways to be a good parent and role model for my own and other people's children. Amen. All right, Cancer, that's what I got. I hope you liked it. I hope it made sense to you. If so, give me a thumbs up. Share it with a friend. Hit subscribe. And let me know if I can do a personal reading for you. I'm running a special on the Down and Dirties for the end of, through the end of this month. And you can always read about how I offer my other readings too by going to artoflove.me, clicking services up at the top. Always hit me up for a personal prayer too if there's something I can pray about in your world. Take care. God bless. And see you again in a couple of weeks.